And what more shall I say? Time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David and Samuel, and of the prophets who through faith conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release so that they might rise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned. They were sawn in two. They were killed with the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy. Wandered about in deserts and mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth. All of these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us, they should not be made perfect. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. So let's think a little bit about this text. It begins there, we'll think about in chapter 12, verse 1, therefore. Well, as preachers quite often say, therefore. Well, what is it therefore? Why is the word therefore, therefore? What, therefore what? Well, it's a conclusion to what he just did in chapter 11. In chapter 11, he went through the great heroes of faith. And quite often people will speak from chapter 11. It's a wonderful, wonderful chapter. And if you're reading through Hebrews, you're going through, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10, proofs, Old Testament sacrifices, boom. It almost breaks your leg when you get to chapter 11, verse 1. It's just like a whole different book. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. The word faith's hardly been used. And all of a sudden, boom, faith, chapter 11, verse 1. Well, what he's going to do, it's a body of proof. He's going to go through chapter 11 and demonstrate that those people that you look to, these fathers of the Old Covenant, the fathers of the Old Testament, they did what they did by faith. That's what he says there. They did what they did. They were commended by their faith. And he goes through them one at a time. Abel, Abraham, Isaac, Noah, Barak, all of it works through them one at a time, talking about what they did by faith. So much to be said about that. You can't really accomplish greatness in any subject if you don't believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in what you're doing. God knows this. He has established throughout all the ages, following him to be based on faith, not on function, so to speak. There are functions involved, all kinds of things we must do, disciplines and practices, absolutely. But it's always been based on faith, what you believe in. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to be successful. It's just that simple. If you're a salesman and you're selling some product, you got to believe in that product. You have to find a way to believe in that product. If you're a software developer for the state, you have to, on some level, believe in what you're doing, that there's value in it, right? If you're a private detective, you got to believe in what you're doing, that in some way it accomplishes a good purpose. If you own a printing company, you got to believe in what you're doing. God understands the human condition better than we think. You wonder, why did God seek to be found by faith? Why didn't he just show himself to us? Because he knows the human condition depends on faith. And in a broken world, it's very important, absolutely critical, that he be found by faith. So the author establishes that. He spent all of chapter 11 showing that all of these people were approved by faith. They made it by faith, but they did not receive what was promised. They believed in something, but they never realized it. They never realized the object of their faith. So think of all of these people in Hebrews chapter 11, this whole congregation of people that he's just described. How they based their life, their blood and their treasure on something they believed in. And we heard the text of what they gave because of what they believed in and what it meant to them. And they died not having received the object of their faith. They died in faith, believing it would be realized someday. Now the Hebrew author sort of drops the microphone on us and says that apart from us, they should not be made perfect or complete. All of those folks, their faith, all the things they did are in vain, a waste of time, if it's not for Brother Phil and Wes and Sandy doing what we do today. Apart from us here today, their faith is incomplete. We are. This day is the object of their faith. What they believed in is realized in what we're doing today. They died not having received it. And if we don't live up to it, their faith is still not realized. That's the point of this text. Therefore, we've got stuff to do because their faith is not realized. Old Testament loving, Old Covenant loving person in Jerusalem, if you want to honor the Old Covenant, be faithful to Christ. That's the answer to every question. Well, be faithful to Christ. That's the answer. That's the therefore that he's established. That without what's going on with us today, Abraham was a waste of time. Noah put the ark together in vain. The world should have just been destroyed without what we're doing today. Now, do you understand the microscope of history that is focused on you and I in this text? How critical it is. That's why this is such a powerful text. Thanks for joining us on Beginning the Word. I hope as you have begun today in the Word of God, you will live out today in the Word of God.